9 News Plus weather, sponsored by Carrier Colorado. The future of home comfort is here.
One. Hey, happy Monday morning. Thanks for joining us here on 9 News Plus. I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi. We've got some pretty big impacts heading the way to much of Colorado starting tonight. In fact, already starting to see some snow in western Colorado. The worst of the snow for eastern Colorado will likely be overnight and into tomorrow morning, and that includes us here in Denver, where we've got a very uncertain forecast. There's a lot to break down, but my top line takeaways: one, travel east of Denver tomorrow is going to be next to impossible. That includes DIA. If you have a flight for tomorrow morning, I would try and move it, because you're probably going to have some big issues getting in or out of DIA tomorrow morning in particular. If you can push it off to tomorrow afternoon, you're probably a little bit better off. Certainly if you can get out tonight, you're much better positioning as well. Number two, very uncertain snowfall amounts, particularly for central Denver on east. I'll break that down for you here in just a second as well. And then number three is there's going to be a fair bit of snow for us into the mountains and a lot of wind. So the wind is kind of a unique factor with this upcoming winter storm. So let's start things off by taking a look outside of Denver, where we've got a few high clouds overhead. This is the leading edge of our next snowstorm, and in western Colorado, as I mentioned, we're already starting to see some of that snow come on down from that. So when a storm arrives tonight, again, already starting to see a little bit of snow for us in western parts of the state. There's very high uncertainty for totals in the metro area, especially along and east of I-25. That's where we've got some really different, the potential for some big gaps here in totals. DIA, I tweeted this morning. I think there's a very high probability that here in downtown Denver we could wind up with maybe 1 inch of snow, and at DIA we could have 6 inches. It's that kind of gap. So very, very uncertain forecast for us. And then there's a blizzard warning for eastern Colorado, much higher certainty in that. Now, winter weather alerts statewide. Winter storm warning for us into the northern mountains as well as into the San Juans. 6 to 14 inches worth of snowfall. I feel like I'm saying a lot of bad things right now. The good news is we've had an awesome start to the snow season here in the mountains, and that is continuing. We are well over 100% of our season-to-date snowpack. We are going to add more to that. Of course, though, keep in mind those travel issues for us into the mountains, and you can tell by the coloring book here of this map that we are looking at quite a bit in the way of some travel issues for us across the state with all that snow. Blizzard warning for us east of Denver. This is the first blizzard warning anywhere in the state of Colorado since the March 2021 storm. What a blizzard is, as a reminder, I know a lot of us often think about blizzard and we think about a lot of snow. The real kind of story with the blizzard is it means that travel is impossible, that visibility is very difficult. It means travel is next to impossible. It means we've got limited visibility. So it has nothing to do with the amount of snowfall. In fact, it doesn't even have to be actually snowing for us to have a blizzard. You can have blowing snow, and that quantifies as blizzard. So what a blizzard is, means you've got 3 or more hours of 35 mile an hour or stronger winds and some sort of snow, again, falling or blowing snow. Visibility is a quarter mile or less, and it means that travel is next to impossible, and that is part of the concern with this storm, especially for areas east of Denver. Then there's also a red flag warning for us in southern and eastern Colorado. High wind watch for 60 mile an hour wind gusts for us in the far eastern plains, and in southern Colorado, high fire danger as well. So please avoid anything with a spark outdoors. For us in southern Colorado, we do have the potential for grass fires to start and spread very quickly for our day today. Winds will be gusting for tomorrow, and look at this by tomorrow afternoon. Look at these winds howling up to 50 to 60 miles an hour on the eastern plains. Downtown Denver probably a bit protected, but the airport on east, that's where we could be seeing those winds in the 30 to 40 mile an hour range. Downtown Denver, about 20 to 30 mile an hour wind gusts for us tomorrow. And then by Wednesday, still pretty windy on the northeast plains, but those winds do start to slacken from Lyman, Fort Morgan on east. HD Doppler radar picking up on that snow for us in western parts of the state. The San Juans on north through Grand Mesa, and the flat top seeing some of that snowfall as well right now, and that snow will continue to spread east as we head through the day today. So by about 5 o'clock, the snow will be in place from the Eisenhower Tunnel on west. We'll also see some of that snow from the San Luis Valley on west as well. So most of the mountains seeing the snowfall. In Denver, though, we're going to have to wait until probably after dark to get our snowfall. And by tomorrow morning, early tomorrow morning, and that's when the snow will be at its heaviest for us. And by about kind of midday or so tomorrow, we should be done with the most of the snow here in the Denver area. Now, statewide, here's what the European computer forecast model has for us. I'm going to show you different computer forecast models, and they'll show for you here what we're expecting in just a second. But this is the European model, which shows, again, a good 15 to 20 inches for our northern mountains on the eastern plains. And notice how Denver in a little bit of a snow hole. That's because we're likely going to be talking about northwest winds. That is a downsloping, a drying wind coming in from the north and from the west, which means, again, for us here in Denver, we're not going to get upslope flow, which is what we usually want to get for snowfall here. We're going to be relying on a band of snowfall to get our accumulations here in town, which means, again, we will likely not, we'll probably be, the lowest snowfall amounts will be in the immediate and west side of the Denver metro area. Other story for today, temperatures, hey, it's 50 degrees already for us here in Denver. We got to 64 yesterday. Enjoy it, because this is probably our last day at or above 50 degrees until maybe next year. I'm not kidding about that. We may go the next 2 to 3 weeks without a temperature. We may not get above 40 for the rest of the calendar, rest of the month. We've got a prolonged cold stretch starting tonight. Now, seasonally chilly for us tonight, but of course the story will be that snow that starts on up after dark, and by tomorrow morning is when the snow is going to be as heaviest for us here in the metro area. Now, in terms of those snowfall amounts, this is a short-range computer forecast model, which shows, again, the difficulty of this forecast. So, please bear with us a little bit here, folks, because notice the difference from Bennett, which has 7-8 inches worth of snowfall, to downtown Denver, which may have a dusting. That's what this one computer forecast model is showing. Here's a different one. This is the global forecast. This is the American computer forecast model, which shows as much as 6 inches in downtown Denver, and on the west side of town, maybe an inch or two of snowfall, and on the east side of town, a foot of snow. So the models, what they're hinting at, or what they're trying to say, is that there's a narrow band of heavy snowfall, and as they come really close to Denver, if it hits us, then we get slammed with potentially 6 or more inches worth of snowfall. What likely happens is it stays just east of the center of the city, which I think means that this model is going to probably end up being closer to reality. I do think Denver ends up with at least an inch or two of snow. Most of us will wake up to an inch or two of snow, but that's pretty much it. From the airport 225 on east, that's where you're starting to talk about maybe 3, 4, 5 inches worth of accumulation. But again, this one seems to be a bit of an outlier. So for tomorrow, temperatures top out around 32 degrees. Winds will be gusty, up to 35 miles an hour, and it will be snowing, especially in the morning. If you're flying in or out of DIA, especially tomorrow morning, if you can, move that flight. Just get that flight changed, because you're not going to want to be at the airport tomorrow. It's going to be probably pretty messy. I think DIA is going to feel the worst of this storm. Now, that 7-day forecast, I mentioned how if you like mild temperatures, enjoy today, because we will likely not be above 40 degrees anytime soon. Look at that 7-day forecast. Overnight lows in the teens for the foreseeable future, and highs in the 30s for the foreseeable future as well. Looking at next week as well, going next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and the lead up to Christmas, it looks like those temperatures stay stuck in the 30s here in Denver. So again, it is going to be maybe a little bit overlooked at this point, is the fact that it's going to be really cold for a pretty long stretch of time, and this is about 10, 15 degrees below average. So kind of sum this all up for you. Travel will be difficult, if not impossible, east of Denver tomorrow. That means I-76, I-70 if you have to head out east of Denver tomorrow. Please try and move that. You don't want to be, we have not had a blizzard warning in Colorado in over a year and a half. So these will be the worst driving conditions east of Denver in at least a year and a half. So just keep that in mind for us for tomorrow. DIA will probably be a mess as a result of that. East side of I-25, 3 to 6 inches. West of I-25, and I feel a bit more confident about west of I-25 that we're going to end up with a trace to maybe 3 inches, but most of us probably closer to the low end of that range. So I'm thinking, so for example, Golden, Arvada, Boulder, Morrison, those areas, you're probably going to get an inch or two at best. You get closer to I-25, maybe downtown, maybe we get 2-3 inches here downtown. But once you get to I-25 on east, so including downtown Denver, that's where I'm probably going to get an extra couple of gray hairs here in the next few hours, because of that forecast is really challenging. Again, narrow band of snow comes really, really close to downtown Denver. If it hits us, then we're talking 4 or 5, maybe even 6 inches worth of snowfall. If it stays just east, which is I think what ends up happening, I think we keep it 225 on east, then we're looking at probably closer to 1, 2, 3 inches. So somewhere in that 1 to 4, 1 to 3 inch range for us in central Denver. Airport on east, that's where you're going to be probably slammed with 4 inches or more worth of accumulation from the snowstorm. So hopefully that sums it all up for you. I know it's a tricky forecast. I'm just going to be transparent that there's a lot of things that could change with this, so make sure you're keeping it here on 9 News for the latest on this upcoming snow event. And meteorologist Keely Chalmers will have updates for you at noon and at 2 o'clock here on 9 News Plus. And then also we'll have meteorologist Lauren Robinson in at 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10 tonight on the 9 News family of networks for more on all this. So again, busy weather pattern shaping on up. We'll have you covered with it all right here on 9 News. Thanks for joining us. Once again, I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi, and have a great rest of your Monday.